All right, here we go. Welcome back to the Total Pile Podcast. You TTPers, I'm Tyler Courtney. This is Brock Davis.
Hello, hello, hello.
Today we're going into the Fukuoka Champions League results very quickly, as we only have the top 16. I'm not going to dive into the meta share anything. We're just going to talk about a couple of the decks we saw that we might see at EUIC. I don't think everything translates because they obviously already rotated, but we're going to get into that a little bit. We're going to start off with the small set reveal they did. We have a name for our May set, which is going to be the second Battle Partners set. The artwork looks really cool, and I'm really excited for Team Rocket stuff, so that's super sick. And then we're going to really dive into the meta as we go into EUIC starting Friday. It's going to be a heck of a tournament. I know we have at least two people from my area going. Brock, how many people went from Arkansas, Memphis?
Uh, I know of there's one of the kids that I coach, and then Tina and Ryan. That's all that I know that went.
Nice, nice. Definitely a big shout out and good luck to Sheena Ryan, and then Preston and Dean, the carriers of my local area right now. Both people that have day two that I'm aware of. I don't think anyone else has that I can think of in our area, but because of the increased championship points, and if Preston can make a run with Snorlax, I don't think that's any spoilers to anybody. I think he's going to stick with Snorlax. But he's also repping the TTP over there. He took over as Matt. Thank you to Barack for shipping those up here. He now has that in Memphis. Do you know if Sheena's using it?
No idea.
No idea. That's okay. That's okay. It's if she does, sick. If she doesn't, that's okay too. But I think based on her tweets, it looks like she was going to play Dragapult in some capacity. Whether it had Iron Thorns in it, I'm not sure. But I know she's the Iron Thorns merchant, so we'll see what she ends up playing. It'll be interesting. But yeah, it's going to be a fun week. Brock, how's your last few weeks been?
Been chilling. Been testing some of the new uh decks that's come out of Japanese meta.
Journey Together, you're talking about for Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah. Post rotation, how's that going?
Good. It kind of only feels like it's like a 2-deck format, and then some other decks can kind of get lucky.
How's your Dunsparce Carnival going?
Haven't touched it.
What? Bro, I told you someone played it in Japan. Obviously, I watched the whole Japan tournament.
Yeah.
I'm crazy like that. I'll stay up until 2, 3 in the morning watching Pokemon. And once I saw that on stream, I instantly thought of Barack. I was like, dude, he's got to try it now. It's for sure. It made it. It didn't make top 16, but it's there. It exists. It's not Legacy Energy. They're not committed. They're not committed like they should be. I think they're just playing Trolley, if I remember correctly. But
Tested like a Zork Guardy deck.
ooh, that'd be fun. Did you take like a Reshiram in there? Or the Sigilyph? The Sigilyph would be a spicy tech.
So it had a Sigilyph, and then it also had the Darmanitan. Had a 1/1 Darmanitan line.
And then reversal.
No reversal.
You're playing Dark Energies for obviously already for Monkey, so you're just putting them
I play. I've been debating between 3 and 4 Dark Energies.
Nice. Hey, and that's okay. Like, hey, N being as long as N, I don't know if he will get more attackers. Like, 'cause I just don't feel like Darmanitan's enough. But like, it's still solid though. Like that's a lot of damage on board. And especially if you can get it off early in a Gardevoir type list that can have Drifloom and stuff sweeping at the end, like it makes sense to me. I'm not going to stop you for that. Yeah, so we'll get to that. Big thing I want to touch on first just because it looks super dope. Destined Rivals has been... the pictures have been released. It's as simple as that. The pictures have been released. And I think it looks even cleaner than ever. This is obviously in Portuguese. I thought it was in Spanish at first, but then Poke Beach corrected me. It's really revealed in Portuguese. But they did confirm that all the Rockets henchmen, whatever you want to call them, the red-haired girl and the purple-haired dude, they're gonna have their own specific cards. This set will have the Ethan's cards in it and Cynthia's Garchomp, which we got a little bit of reveal in Fukuoka. If you want to see those, go to Twanley Yoshi TCG on Twitter. Those guys have translations. I think it'll be decent. Like Garchomp has the ability to have 400 HP, and I will let you dive into that however you want. But that just seems crazy. And it does have damage modifiers, so that it can be spice. But the artwork just looks so clean. I'm so pumped. I have not had a Team Rocket set in my career of playing since 2008. There was plasma cards and there was stuff like that, but we've never had Rockets stuff, and so Pokemon's really pulling the money levers when it comes to this stuff. So just wanted to briefly shout out that because it looks incredible. Like this artwork is gonna go crazy, especially because I think Ethan has a Ho-Oh in here. This is the secret art rare. So and that's all gonna be in our May set, I think. Technically.
I think so.
Yeah, because this one comes out March, May, and then do we really have that long of a gap though? March, May, August, November. Is it 4 sets a year?
It's 4 sets, and then we have the mini sets.
Yeah, we don't count. Those mini sets are dumb.
Or technically, it's 3 months, but then we have one where we get where it's 6 months.
Yeah, we gotta. That's a different rant for a different day. We've talked about printing schedules nonstop for God knows how long. I feel like it's multiple episodes now. It just leaks into. Anyway, Ho-Ho looks sick. Ethan's cards look sick. I mean, all the partner Pokemon seem really well done, artwork and play-wise. They all have very good archetypes around them. Who knows if that'll translate to competitive play, but they all have good synergy. They all do that. So it's a functioning deck to take to locals or play online for fun. So that's the main goal, I think, when you're making partner Pokemon stuff. Speaking of Japan, we'll just hop right into it. Fukuoka happened, 5,000 players, which is, man, I can't wait. I think one day we'll get there, but, I mean, we're looking at a couple more Pokemon spikes for that to happen. And, if it's next season, fantastic. If it's not, then that's probably better for us trying to get into these tournaments if it's not. Did you try to get into EIC? No.
It wasn't.
I had a couple of people who
monetarily.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a big flight. It's a big trip. Like it's not an easy thing to pull off. But I did have some people who were trying to get in, and they just couldn't. So we'll get started. And this is not an error. These are the actual top 16 decks. As you can see, there is 15 Japanese players and 1 American. I don't know if you saw that meme on Twitter or not, but they mentioned Tord as being American on the Japanese. I was watching Azul stream and the chat just started going crazy when they called him American. I was just like, oh my god. It's a pretty funny thing to think about. Like if he was NA based, how crazy would it be? But long story short, Tord made top 16. He played in this tournament. I know of Raul went. I think it's Fabian. I can't say his name right. I feel so bad. But yeah, there it is. And like Noah Yoshida. There's a group of players that went, and they all played the same list. And we're gonna dive into this one first because I think it's the best deck out of the top 16. Obviously, didn't win, but Tord's Terra box is what I've been calling it. I don't think he created the deck. I think he got it from a Japanese player. But super interesting list. A list that is technically viable now, but doesn't get Clefairy, which helps its Dragapult matchup a lot. Like Clefairy is very keen. You could play this deck now if you want. Um, I haven't yet. Um, Obviously, we talked about you testing post rotation. Did you play any Tord Box?
Yeah, I played a little bit of it. It has a very, it's just a really strong deck. With the option to go to the Pikachu early, of course, like the one shot potential of the Clefairy. So essentially against Dragapult, the matchup's very trivial if you get going quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just double well or you Wellspring Ogerpon killed either two Dracloaks, two Dreepies, a Badoo and a Dreepy. It doesn't really matter. Some form like that, to where like you take two prizes in one turn off your Wellspring Ogerpon. And then you go into Clefairy and do Clefairy, E-Switch, attach, knockout, Dragapult. They return with another Dragapult, and you just combo together with a Night Stretcher, E-Switch, and just like that. That matchup's very good, and same with Charizard, which I said I feel like it's a two-horse race with everything else kind of there. This is the third deck that I think is a real deck. I don't think it's in its final form yet, but it's very close, and I think it's very strong into the new meta.
Yeah, the one thing I haven't played this on live yet. Obviously, like I said, Clefairy not being legal is kind of a bummer right now, just because like I think that's what makes the deck really good against Dragapult. Obviously, like if you get that early start with the Wellspring, which seems fairly easy with the Crispin and a Teal Dance. The one thing that worried me, it seems like it's very crystal reliant. And if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see there's not a single Arven in this list. And obviously, Brock said the deck's not in its final form. How was trying to find crystal for you
No,
when
you
you
just
played
get it
the game?
off the knockdown.
Oh, I'm crazy. I gotta wake up. I've been watching too much hockey tonight. Yeah, you could literally just Jewel Seeker for it. Who needs Arven? Because you could just Jewel Seeker
It's
for Crispin
yeah,
Crystal.
Crispin Crystal. You got it. Yep.
Or whatever piece you don't have, because you would need an energy switch still to pull off one of them. Or
Nope.
no,
No,
because
you don't.
Crispin just because Crystal removes
Yep.
a color type. I'm crazy. So yeah, you could literally Pikachu turn one with this desk right now. That's actually
Typically
crazy.
you don't want a Pikachu turn one. Like
No, but
that's
like you can though. I'm just
you could.
I
Yeah,
didn't think it
yeah,
was
yeah.
even a possibility because you don't need 300 damage on turn two 90% of the time. You just don't. But like if they start a Bloodlune Ursaluna as their only target and there's no
Yep.
bench Pokemon, you could literally just Pikachu for game right there. That's insane. I'm gonna have to. I don't own any
That's
teal
very
masks.
very.
I sold my teal masks when Regidrago was at its hype, and so I need to go buy those back. So I can't play this deck now, and I for sure don't own two Wellspring masks. I think I own
Yep.
one for the Lugia deck if I ever played it. Um,
I bought a bunch of bulk EXs recently, so I had a
Nice. Yeah,
bunch of
because they're still bulk for us here. The prices are still down. Like, I think we'll talk about it here in a second, but the Walls deck will be considered bulk for a couple more months, so they should be still pretty cheap. The last thing I wanted to mention with this is there's two basic Pokemon we don't see very often in this deck. One of them being Ditto. I think Ditto is super cool. It's the transformative start one. It just gives you another out to whatever attacker you need turn one. Or if you just don't have a Nest Ball or an Ultra Ball for something, you can just go get your Teal Mask and you can Teal Dance with it and then use that energy to retreat if you have to. But it's also a free way to set up a Fan Rotom or even a third Hoot Hoot. Like, it's just such a versatile card. And as it being the 58th or 59 card. I think it's a super cool inclusion. Thoughts on Ditto?
Ditto. Ditto was crazy in testing, like crazy good. Because with the access to Latias, like you just go like Latias and Ditto. The only thing that like I was missing from the deck was like Buddy Poffin. That was the only thing that was I was like,
Because it
I
is
kind of
still
want.
four Hoot Hoot. Like, it is still a lot.
Yeah, it's still four Hoot Hoot.
And
But like getting to like your turn one Fan Rotom was sometimes difficult, but it's not that hard. But yeah, so
yeah,
like the fan Rotom in combination with the Latios to get the Ditto to be able to get the Terapagos if you're going up against something that's a little bit slower was like really, really good. Or to get into the Teal Mask early or Wellspring or Pikachu or like just to get into any of your attackers was really, really good.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned it a little bit. I'm still trying to figure out why it's in here, but there's nobody with Hoffen, but there's also an 80 HP Hoot. What is that? What are we doing here?
So I really don't know, if I'm being honest. I immediately just made that a 70 HP and didn't think about it. The only thing that I can think of is if you're playing against Dragapult and they go really fast, because every Dragapult deck post rotation is playing Hawlucha, to try to deny them from killing one of your Hoothoots, if it's your only Hoothoot, is my only like real like
thought.
This makes sense.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I don't know.
10-cent card. If you need one right now, it's 10 cents. There you go. You got it.
Yeah, like that's my only thought is like if it's to play around the Dragapult plus Hawlucha shenanigans.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The
only Dragapult that made top cut, or well, I said that out loud a little too fast. So let me hit the back button before I confirm that.
It was.
Yeah, the only one to not play.
Oh, there's the Goldango Dragapult.
Well, no, I know for a fact they don't play Hawlucha. That's why I was saying it in that manner.
Yep, this one does not.
And we'll talk about that in a second because I've been playing it and it's a lot of fun. It's not very good, but it's a lot of fun. Anyways, yeah, 80 HP Hoo-Hoo. If there is a lot of Hawlucha, that makes sense to me, but I can't see another version of it. Do you think this has a place as a deck now for EUIC? Can it be viable without Clefairy?
I do not. One, because we're just too fast of a meta right now. That I don't think because this deck can stumble at times, but it does a very good job at recovering when it stumbles.
Yeah.
But right now, if it stumbles,
I think the big thing too is I think its Miraidon matchup would be super tough. Everything here besides the Ursaluna and technically the Pikachu is in range of even just a Miraidon. And then you could Iron Hands a Wellspring Mask. Like I think the big basics part of it.
The metal, but yes.
Is it really?
No, it's lightning.
No, it's lightning. Okay, no, we're good. Yeah, I think, like you said, if someone like saw this list in Japan and put a week into it, I think they can make it work now. Like you said, it is a slower list, but that turn one potential with Crispin, especially with Dragapult being popular, would be crazy. But if you don't get that turn off, then it'd be incredibly difficult without Clefairy. So, not going to say you're not going to see it at UIC, but I would not play it. I definitely just not enough time to tweak it and make it work for this type of format.
I don't think your Dragapult matchup's good enough without the Clefairy.
Right, exactly, and it's going to be, and Dragapult seems to be that guy right now.
It's pretty much the BDIF.
Yeah, we made it, baby. We made it. There's technically 3 more decks I want to talk about. There is an Zoroark here. It is full of new cards, but it's nothing crazy to what you compare to it being before the format started. It's just a big Darmanitan deck. It doesn't even play the Sigilyph, but trade's really good. And it has Petulant for switching out, and like it also has the Ends Stadium for free retreat, so that's super cool. I didn't see it on stream very often. It obviously didn't convert well into the top 16. So that's kind of that. The big bad, though, winning the whole tournament for Alligator with a 2/2 Milotic line. This is insane. I've been playing just the Feraligatr list that was doing well in City Leagues. I did not expect this to be in the top 16, let alone winning the entire thing. I know Barack doesn't have a lot of thoughts on this because it's more on the Mimi side, but to win a 5,000 player tournament, it's still an incredible accomplishment. The main thing that comes out of this deck is that Milotic is really good post rotation. Like it's just if you are playing Dragapult, you have to have an answer to this.
There's not a good answer,
The
which
only
is the sad part.
the only one that I found, and it's the worse. It's a worser version of Dragapult. If you're playing the Iron Thorns version, it's an auto win.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's playing Iron Thorns and Trolleys. You're worse in the mirror. So like take your wins where you can get them. But this Milotic Walls deck that we're about to talk about is going to be very popular, especially with Snorlax rotating. But this moment is for Feraligatr because it won the entire thing. I believe they get an invitation to everything in Japan for the next year. Like the pricing for this stuff is crazy, and Feraligatr is super cool. And shout out to them. Feraligatr's it's doing. If you want, it can do 260 a turn. You could play reverse thrust, deck and cover type of hiding strategy with Mimikyu or the Milotic. Like, it's just a super cool deck. The only thing that I noticed in this one, he's not playing the Ascension Feebas that is still legal. Playing the Flail one. I don't think it really matters, to be honest. But, like, I would much rather have the option to
The
Ascension.
Ascension one rotates.
I thought it was
yellow border. I think it's yellow border.
I thought it'd still be legal. I didn't even think about that. I'll have to look at it later. If it's not legal, then yeah, you play whatever Feebas you want. But yeah, the Crocodile attack, the Totodile attack, he used all of these attacks with Relicanth the entire tournament. At one point in time, he was big biting for, I think it's 160 damage. No, 130. He was big biting for 130 damage. Imagine getting Mawile trapped while it hits you for 130. Like, that's just crazy. And then you can Monkey Dory damage counters off. It's got 3 Monkey Dory in here, 3 Dark Energy, 2 Luminous. Like, this deck is crazy fun. And I hope it can do well. I know someone will play this at EUIC just because they can, and it's for Alligator. Like it's just a cool deck. I don't think it'll do well in EUIC, but someone will play it, and I hope someone day twos with it for sure. Another kind of meme pick, the runner up. The runner up. I don't know why we've been this was the total pile deck of the week weeks ago from City Leagues. And this player got second place with Goldango Dragapult. And man, I've played this deck too many times now to where I think it's decent. I don't know. I think I'm brainwashing myself. Obviously, I'm a Dragapult stan. I love Dragapult being the best deck in format. He's the Derpy Dragon. You throw it in a Cheese Man. It's a lot of fun. And what I was struggling with, I think the first time I played it, was that I was trying to make it more of a Dragapult early deck instead of a Goldango early deck. This deck is a Goldango deck. Let's not get it twisted. It is a Goldango deck. You're playing Energy Search Pro. You're playing all the energy types. You just play an extra fire and an extra psychic. It's what it is. It's a Goldango deck. And once I stopped trying to I just let it play out, it became really smooth. The main reason was you're coin bonusing for 2, 3, potentially even 4 cards a turn with your Goldengos, and then you can recon directive once or twice for that last piece, depending on your board state. And that was super good. It felt like I was flipping the script every turn. It's what it felt like. I felt like I was flipping the script and then recon directing for the piece I didn't have. It's exactly what it felt like. It felt super clean. I don't think you could play this now, but it's, again, another deck you could play in this format. I'm going to take it to locals if I could play it this weekend, just because it's a meme. Monkey Dory is insane. The ability to crispin the steel energy onto Goldango and crispin the dark energy onto your Monkey Dory is super good. And I think Crispin's going to be a supporter card that is very relevant for a long time, at least until it rotates, because it's just one of those cards that just attaches 2 energies a turn, and those are really good. That's just the way it is. You get to attach 2 energies per turn. Thoughts on Goldango? I know you don't like the Dragapult version. I get it. It'll take time.
No, it's just one of those things where, like this is back-to-back tournaments where two meme decks ended up in the finals of a Japan tournament.
Mm-hmm.
It's just slowly like Japan's losing. Like the best of one keeps showing its head over and over. So
Yeah,
it's
man, they.
like that's the thing is like it's becoming more and more hard for me to take anything Japan does like under any kind of validity.
Yeah,
Just because of this is back-to-back tournaments where it's like, okay,
because the last one was Arch Avedon
versus Ancient
Cerulege.
Box.
Oh,
It was
Ancient Box. You're right. It was Ancient Box.
Which Ancient Box isn't as big of a meme as these other decks we're
As
seeing,
these two in the final, for sure.
but like it's still like up there. It's like your tier 3 deck that's in the finals. So it's becoming more and more hard for me to like look at Japan and like with any kind of like competitive usefulness.
For sure. I think the biggest thing we take away, it's a starting point. I'm assuming, like you said, you tested towards box. It's a good deck. Japan is a launch pad for us when it comes to rotation, especially rotation. New sets a little less so, but rotation wise, like I think it's the perfect starting point. And then you quickly realize they're building for a certain style of game and not a regional format.
Yep.
I'm definitely gonna play Goldango Dragapult when rotation starts, and I probably will play it for maybe 2 weeks, and we'll see. I mean, like, I'm not going to Atlanta, and by God's gift of me winning the lottery, maybe I'd go. I don't know if it's sold out yet or not. It probably is,
Oh,
but
it's really sold out.
yeah, it's gonna be a big one. Um, I would, This would be my first deck I would try, and then just switch to regular Dragapult after failing at it. But it's a lot of fun. Coin bonus, making it rain, sprinkle, and one of the clever plays too that I ended up doing a lot online was not taking a knockout with Goldango to set it up for a Dragapult 4 prize turn, which was insane because you could say it was a Terrapagos box or whatever. I did 200 to the active, let him knock out my Goldango with Dustnor stuff, and then I take a 4 price turn on Monkey Dory Dragapult, and it would just win me the game. So like the math makes sense. It hits the numbers just shy of a knockout on every Pokemon. And if you want it to hit 350 or 400, it can. Like it's just a very clever, fun deck right now for me. I don't even want to talk about Blissey, but I'm going to open it. Blissey made it. It's more of a wall build. It's got the energy switch, happy switch. We're essentially the walls deck that we're about to talk about. This one just happened to have a Blissey in it. But this walls deck, it's Farigiraf, Milotic, Cornerstone Mask, is the essential 3 Pokemon in this deck. And man, it was just going through people. I'm telling you. It was just, there's nothing certain. Like if you had to have an answer to each wall or else you weren't winning, which is such a hard deck building advantage. Milotic stops all Terras. Girafarig stops all EXs, or all basic EXs, sorry. And then Cornerstone stops anything with an ability. And it's just like, right, as long as they're all dead. Yeah, opponents with abilities. The only thing that had somewhat of a chance against it was Gardevoir. And there's not a single Gardevoir in top 16. There's not
Gardevoir doesn't see very much play.
No, it's hard because they're rotating. And this is why I don't think this deck is playable now. Because Gardevoir seems like it'd be an auto loss because it just Driflooms and stuff like that. But it's still not an easy matchup for him. Walls are just annoying to deal with.
So, like, looking at this, like, the thing I take away is, like, Milotic was the best deck and probably was actually the winner of the tournament, but
Yeah.
it ran into the memes, so that's why I lost.
Yeah, because, like, in that same example, like, only Cornerstone Mask stops the Feraligatr deck. and that's just not enough. I mean, it's hard to recycle Cornerstone that many times. You're only playing one Super Rod. Like, you cannot recycle Cornerstone that many times. In the next format, it's definitely more of a problem than
I
right
was saying,
now.
but then they just switch into their Mimikyu.
The fourth place list didn't
No,
play
they
one.
can't.
Yeah, I mean, like, because Mimikyu still gets
They
blocked
can't
by
switch.
Cornerstone, and it's got Shred.
I guess
So
you just do.
it'd be
Oh, like
tough after your
Monkey
first.
Dory damage. You just
Yeah,
Monkey
yeah,
Dory it
yeah. You
off
can,
over and over.
yeah, you get Monkey Dory the whole time, the 140 damage, and hopefully keep up. Like, this Walls deck is going to be a real serious problem. It even plays a Turbo Energizer just to help set up energies on the board, so that way you could Pokey Vital. Crazy to see this card get played. You just put heal 150 damage off of Pokemon's insane, especially in Walls. Lost my train of thought there, but they turbo energized onto a second Milotic at times, and knowing that it can't get hurt by the Terra and the opponent's active. I was so scared that Tord was going to run into one of these. I'm not even sure if he did or didn't. He didn't. They didn't show his top cut game, but they did stream Tord's winning in, and that was cool. But this deck really seems to be a problem. Like, there's a senior in my locals that loves Arceus V Star Vulpix V Star. He still plays it. He just absolutely they love it. It was a father son combo that just they build one of every deck, and they most of the time one of them is playing Vulpix. Arceus V Star still, just because people don't have an answer to Vulpix for whatever reason. Not really prepared for it. But walls are just good, and this one has every wall you could think of. It literally stops every type of Pokemon in the format that is currently existing. That besides for alligator, I guess. Like, it's just like it's ridiculous. Anyway, so walls will be cool. It's definitely the Snorlax replacement, but 1, 2, 3, 4 of them in the top 16 here. And with that being said, there's a cool Flareon list in here. More than good information as a starting point for pro rotation. I'm hoping there's one more Champions League before we rotate, but I don't think there is. Do you know?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. All right, let's hop into now. Let's move forward. We're done looking at the future. We're gonna hop into the now. And we're going. Well, I guess I say that, and we're going back to Merida. The regional in Mexico happened 2 weeks ago. Taken down by Miraidon, piloted by Azul GG. And it was one of those things where Miraidon just had a perfect storm of a meta call. Gardevoir was super popular. We have the breakdowns here. 13% of day one was Gardevoir and 9% Lugia. Like, those are just matchups you want to see as a Miraidon player. And we still have Raichu, so you can decently find a way against Charizard. It's still not a great matchup for you, but you have Iron Hands, you have the fast starts. Like, Miraidon, it was a perfect storm for Miraidon. Thoughts on Merida before we dive into individual stuff?
I mean, it was like Guardy's tournament to lose, and then Azul and crew made the correct call of Miraidon being good. So
Yeah, I mean, like, Gardevoir converted really well. I mean, it went from 13% to 18% day two. Dragapult stayed at 17.3, and Lugia went up to 16.8. All are decent matchups, two of them being really, really good from a right on. Dragapult's still weird, but if they get the Iron Hand stuff going, they're going to steamroll it really fast because they have to still Evo and do all that stuff. So, still not easy as a Dragapult deck. Overall, I can't remember the top 18 was. I don't know how many. Do you remember how many it cut to?
I think it cut to 15.
It was a pretty big cut because it is a smaller regional, only 1,100 players. But
It
one,
was either
two,
14 or 15. Because
yeah.
I know number 1 seed did not have to play, and I can't remember if the second seed didn't have to play.
I
It's the
think
biggest cut we've. It's the biggest cut we've had. I know that.
I know Gedimer made it. I just can't remember how far after that it went down.
That I
Um,
don't-
but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Dragapults in the top 12. Like, this deck is gonna be the big bad of this format. We talked about Regidrago a lot for a long time because of Itchy Pollen and because of other things in the format. Regidrago is just gone, but the main attacker in Regidrago is now finding success in Dragapult. Um, do you want to start there? Where do you want to start? You can. I'll let you pick this time.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big standout is like Gardevoir. Like that's the one that set the tone for the whole weekend. Um, and of course, Henry Chow didn't go to this tournament, but he worked closely with a bunch of the people around that ended up playing Gardevoir and did well with it, like Aiden or like Michael Davidson,
Yeah,
who finished 7th, and
I
it
think Gabe Smart
looks
had the list too.
yeah. Um, there was a lot of people who had the list but ended up playing something different. But the list basically changed a lot to play around like the Dragapult stuff. So it plays a third Monkey Dory, which just makes sense. The deck kind of just wants to streamline a double Monkey Dory every game. So by playing a third Monkey Dory, you just get to do it more. Um,
Yeah, and then and
and
Drifloon hits 300 without Cape. So I mean, it's your perfect math for Dragapult.
uh,
And it needs Charm still.
yeah, but you don't play Charm anymore.
Oh my
Um,
god, they cut Charm.
so you play the Mimikyu to buy yourself some extra turns against like some of the faster decks in the format. This kind of took the spot of the Klefki in some of the decks. Still playing the Mawile. It's one of the best cards in the game in a best of 3 format. You just get to trap somebody and either steal too much time and then win the game at the very end, or you just win the game because of deck out because of tempting trap. Cresselia is just very good for the. They cut the Moonlit Hill for more consistency with the Artisan, so the Cresselia really makes sense. You
Badoo
don't ever really
effect.
play, yeah, the the cleanup effect. Um, and then everything else, they cut the Irida for a third Arven. It makes sense. They're playing 3 TM Evo, which you just want a TM Evo every single turn. Choose to go second TM Evo. That's just kind of what you want to do now. And then they played Hero's Cape, which is very, very strong because that gives you a 410 HP Gardevoir.
With healing. That's the craziest part.
With the healing, like if you have double Monkey Dory, like that's you're getting 3-shot by a Dragapult,
Yeah.
even if they do the Alakazam damage. So like it's just crazy how good the Gardevoir is. They're still playing the double Turo, so like imagine you get punched twice by a Dragapult and then you Turo it up and then they
Reset it on a
wasted 2
Curly.
turns.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
they reset it and it's like okay, yep, we lose. So I played this list to a local and I ended up winning it, and it's just the deck is really strong.
Yeah, that the
Um
Turo stuff's
and
insane.
but the deck is very difficult to play. Like this is not something I would recommend to anybody picking it up like to a League Cup or anything if you have not played Gardevoir this season,
Yeah.
because this does not play like a typical Gardevoir deck. Like if you discard one wrong resource, you immediately lose the game because you don't have access to it because this deck doesn't play Palpad.
Right.
Um, and the Super Rod isn't as forgiving as or the one Super Rod isn't as forgiving as the second Super Rod is. Because the second Night Stretcher is just more powerful to play. So
It's
this
more
deck is
direct.
so
Yeah.
good.
It's more
This
direct,
deck is so
instant
good.
impact. Um, my curious question, obviously, like it's one of the things here too, is like we've seen not necessarily more so like in like Dragapults and Charizards going away from the Rotom. Thoughts on the Spirit Tomb still being in here? Like, is it just that good if they play it down
Uh,
turn one?
it's your yeah. So basically, the Spiritomb's in here for Lugia more than anything. Um, just to shut off their fish so they can't go boss, boss, boss. Um, to
Oh
kill
yeah,
your Curlia engine
yeah,
is like the biggest thing
yeah. Iron Hands and
on it.
Curlios would be terrible.
And another thing, if you notice, they don't play Manaphy anymore.
Mm-mm. They cut it.
Um, So you're kind of. So if Lugia plays a Wellspring Ogerpon, you kind of just lose.
Yeah.
So like the Spirit Tomb allows you to try to balance it out. Yes, Charizard is still playing a Rotom. So yes, it helps against that, but your Charizard matchup's not very good.
Yeah,
Especially with only one
you're already
Ingress
losing that one anyway, yeah.
I mean it's winnable, especially with the
Oh, for sure.
Mewtwo,
But we're talking about 40,
but
60.
it's difficult.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the Rotom, like I don't play Rotom, but I play Klefki, so it kind of does the same thing. I just like Klefki more than like the Spiritomb.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially
so
if you're doing it specifically for Charizard matchups and Rotoms, like I think Klefki would be better. But I didn't even think about it in this moment. The stopping Lugia from bossing. That's just super good. So yeah, Gardevoir definitely the big percentage in the tournament. Still did really well. Like it's a one in top cut. Very good deck. And we'll hop into the direct counter. I think Azul playing Miraidon and that group playing Miraidon is such a good meta call. And it's your generic Miraidon list. I think the only things that people were talking about was like I remember it being a meme online, but like which Magnemite do you play? Other than that, like it's just Miraidon.
the Rotom is a little
The
different.
Rotom's cool. I like the Rotom a lot. Especially just because if you have to go first, this format seems like it's go second very heavy right now. Everyone wants the TM Evo, or everyone wants the Itchy Pollen, or even Raging Bolts, and like these big basic attackers want to go second. So like it just gives you an extra option going first. So I understand the change and the thought process behind it. And drawing 3 cards is really good. It's just it is, and it gives you an extra Forest Sealstone user, which is also super good because like when I was playing with Rhydon a lot, it just feels bad putting Forest Sealstone on Raikou or Raichu early because then you can't Bravery Charm it. It just feels awkward doing it. So the Rotom is a super cool inclusion. Obviously, it's still an Area Zero build. You're still playing the Pikachu, and we're not attacking with the Pikachu. Not shocked by that, but like, it's one of those things where it's like it's still the newest version of Miraidon. They didn't go crazy different. You need 8 bench slots. I mean, you got a Squawk, you got a Fez, you got Latios, you got Luminions, Rotoms. Like that's 5 of EXs that you could easily use all in the same game. So you need 5, and then Magnemite itself. You need Area Zero. You do. Super cool list. Like we can't. I don't think we can even dive deeper into this list even more. Like it's literally just Miraidon, and it was just such a good meta call for the event. We could talk about Dragapult a little bit. It feels like we're going to talk about Dragapult for a long time now, but this is kind of the version of Dragapult that is now just being done everywhere. It's 4-4-3, no partner, right? Like obviously we talk about me playing Dragon a lot. I love the partner versions. I played it with Iron Thorns, Charizard, all that stuff. This is just straight Dragapult. And I played straight Dragapult to Louisville, didn't go in my way, but like it's still a really good deck. I love this version of it. 2 Lance is kind of cool, but this is just the big bad now. It really seems that way. The ability to Evo on turn 1. This one's not playing Evo at all, so it's just hoping to Badoo you on turn 1 to buy time. I still play Evo in my lists because I'm playing, like I said, the partner versions of it. But yeah, man, it's just a really good deck, and especially if you can Itchy Pollen, like it's just a really good deck. The one thing I was intrigued by it, I think it's just this list that I pulled up. I'll confirm that real fast because this is Brent Tonnison's list, who's a very credited player. I'm just shocked to not see Artisan, but the one after that's not playing Artisan either, and the one, none of them. What? So, have I been doing this wrong? Why is there no Artisan?
Why would you play Artisan when you just play another Lance?
You know what? You're not wrong. Brock just
Like that's my
no.
only thought.
If you're gonna play 2 Lance, like it's the same thing, right? It's a buddy poffin, and then you could turn 1 going second. You could buddy poffin for 2 Dust Skulls and play Lance, and then go from there. Or I mean, obviously that's not like the most. Hopefully your hand's more full than that, and then you can Rotom for 3 more cards. Yeah, why not play 2 Lance? It's a great point.
And then, like, the only other thing is, like, so playing anything that allows your opponent to get more advantage, card advantage, just never feels good. Like, when I was playing Lugia, I would almost never put down my Mezagoza unless I had to.
Yeah, because it gives
So
you,
it's like,
yeah.
yeah, so it's like, do you really want to give your opponent another deck search? Like, if you give Guardy, like, let's say Guardy goes Buddy Poffin pass, if you put Artisan down, now you've just opened the floodgates.
Because they can just get every
Uh,
curly, every Ralts in
they
play.
Yeah, they get every Ralt in play, and
Free Driftloom
knowing
Search.
most Gardevoir players, they go, okay, they went first, Buddy Poffin, they go double Curlier, or they go Curlia whatever, and then they go evolve both Curlias up, or both Ralts up to Curlias. Now they have 3 Curlias, so even if you were able to do like Dust Snork shenanigans, they still have a chance of getting a Guardian, just like steamrolling the game from there.
Yeah. Nope, it's a great point, and it gives you a spot to play whatever stadium of choice. I don't know. I went through them really fast, but like we saw Temple of Sinnoh, we saw Collapse Stadium, we saw Lost City. Like there's a lot of different options to go with stadium wise right now pre-rotation, and like Lost City and Temple of Sinnoh just seem super good. Collapse Stadium is obviously a free way to remove your Luminion and Rotom V from play, so we'll never knock on Collapse Stadium being the choice there too. But we talked about it, just me and you, about my cup run with Dragapult Charizard. I lost to a Lugia playing the Regigigas, and he got it off my Artisan. And like,
Yep.
it's just one of those things where it's just like I had to have Artisan down because it wasn't a Lance, and it's just yeah, it was just, he steamrolled me with a big guy. Um, yeah, man, Dragapult is just super good right now. Recon Directive, people were sleeping on it for a long time. Obviously, Badoo helps this deck a ton, buying it time, but uh, it's up there with Curlia. It's not as good as Curlia because obviously discard synergy with the Psychic Energy and Curlia and Gardevoir is insane. But Recon Directive is such a good ability, and I will always be a fan of it. Um, and this list can really handle everything because of the thick Dusknoir line. You're playing 2 stretchers. You're only playing 2 rare candy because you're going to want to evolve into Dragapult. Your rare candies are just for the Dusknoir line. You might rare candy into 1 Dragapult, but it's mainly used on Duskulls and Dusknoirs because Dracloak is just so good. Like you want to evolve into Dracloak, and that's why you play Itchy Pollen, Badoo. But overall, man, like Dragapult's that guy. I think it's gonna win EIC. I really do. And that's just me being a stan. I'm in love with it. Closing thoughts on Merida. Andrew Hedrick brought the Lost Box, and got 20th with it. Like it's the same old 4 Pokestop NAIC style of list. You can Pikachu in this deck. You can do whatever you want because of Mirage Gate. Like, and you're for the most part you can be a single prize attacking deck if you want to be because of 4 Pokestops and the vacuums and whatnot. So I'm hoping Lost Box has a deep run this weekend. Just give it one last ride, one last ride of the Lost Box. I thought about sleeving it up, and that's just a lot of effort and time, but it's one last ride for Lost Box. Closing thoughts on Mirrored as we move into Puerto Rico.
Nope.
Puerto Rico is just a lot of different variants. Miraidon's popularity just shifted over, and not a lot of time in between tournaments. And people just like, oh, Azul will play Miraidon, we'll play Miraidon. It took down the whole event. It's slightly different. I don't think Azul played the DTE. Other than that, it's
He did.
oh, he must have played 16 Lightning then. I'm trying to figure. Oh, also this plus plays Zapdos. I know for a fact Azul didn't play Zapdos.
Yeah. So they just got the Zapdos for the 16th, or the 16th energy.
It's what it looks like. Yeah, it does. Miraidon. It's just Miraidon. It's gonna have a spot in the format. Oh, dude, I stink. Gouging Fire got second. That's huge. We love Gouging Fire. At least I do. Gouging Fire is sick. Anyways, we do have an Arch Aladon finishing second. Decent Miraidon matchup. So Makes sense. No Dialga in this list, which is crazy to me. This is definitely more. I mean, it's playing Super Scoop Up Cyclone. Like, this is just all out Art Jaladon. I'm going to hit you for 220 and keep recycling stuff. 2 Turos. I mean, it's the same type of thing. It's super cool. Um, yeah, it's Archaladon. Like, yeah, there's nothing more really to talk about it. It's a 4/4 line, which is crazy. Like, yeah, obviously, you're not playing Dialga. You don't need to cut any spaces for it. Dragapult got fourth. A Cerulege got top 8, which is super cool to me. Is playing the 1/1 Palkia and one Fan Rotom. I'm assuming that's just to have a single prize attacker early game because there's not a single Noctile in here. I didn't watch the Tire Puerto Rico stream, but that just seemed interesting in my pre-pod prep. I was just like, why are we playing one Fan Rotom besides potentially just Jet Ed Energing and hitting for 70? Like what else is for it? This is a brilliant blender build. I do not expect to see this in EUIC. Thoughts on Cerulege, if you have any?
Not for this format. I think Cerulege might have a place post rotation.
Yeah. Other than that, very similar top 16, top 18. We do see one. I don't remember if I saw it or not. I think it for sure day 2 in Merida. But here is the Dragapult Charizard list. And this is doing really well for me. I'm playing Heroes Cape still in my list just because Gardevoir is everywhere, and I'm playing 4 Poffin. So the list is similar in ways. Like, I don't play Defiance Band. But like this is just a really good deck. It solves Dragapult's late game issues, and you're not giving up free prizes with Dusknoir. So I think I prefer playing this one, but I think Dusknoir will end up being the more consistent variant that does well at EUIC. I hope the Charizard Dragapult makes a run, but the idea and concept is the exact same. Like, you're gonna early game Dragapult pressure, Recon Directive, clean sweep with Charizard at the end. It's a lot of fun. I like it a lot. I don't think I'm playing Rotom in my list, or I guess Oscar Madsen's list. I have to go look and find out. But only one Lance. I'm playing Artisan and Collapse Stadium, and so yeah, like I said, Artisan might be my worst nightmare now. That's fine. It's fine. No big deal. Any deck that you want to touch on before we move into metagaming and predicting for EUIC? All right, let's hop into the data. Pokehive is where I go for everything. It's super cool. I think that where I want to start is really short and sweet. Big basics, man. Let's just group them all together. It's Raging Bolt. It's Miraidon. It's Gouging Fire, Roaring Moon. What's your thoughts on big basics in this format? I don't think it's very existent, or it shouldn't be, unless it's Miraidon. I think Gouging Fire and
Miraidon's a real deck.
Miraidon's so good.
I don't like Miraidon just because there's a bunch of inconsistencies with it.
Generator.
So like seeing the Rotom is like kind of a fresh of breath air almost, because like they finally admit that their deck's inconsistent, so they're finding something to make it more consistent.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's really very many decks that can like kind of keep up with it. Like, it just bullies Gardevoir, which I think is just right now it's the 1A 1B between Gardevoir and Dragapult right now. I don't think that's really crazy to say, just because they're both just crazy good right now. And Guardy can keep up with Dragapult because they're playing the Monkey Dory. So if Guardy just gets rolling if Dragapult stumbles just a little bit, then Guardy just kind of sweeps it, because they can recycle the Turo, or they can use both Turos at the right time. They're seeing their whole deck with Curlia, because even though Dracloak and Guardy, they have similar effects, the Guardy one is just stronger because it's not as affected by Iono. Because you're getting rid of your more dead cards compared to
putting them on the bottom
Dragapult that keeps them. So it's like you're not really getting rid of them. it just kind of staggers it. So you
Right.
still have the dead cards. Like after you fully set up your Buddy Puff and they're dead, Dragapult can draw back into them. Guardy won't because they're discarding them.
Yeah, right.
But I think those are the two decks to beat, and Miraidon has a very good matchup into both of those. So the like big basic beaters, I think the only one that can contend is Miraidon.
Yeah, I think we echo a similar idea here. Like it's just like Maridon is so fast, and it's the one that still has a cleanup attacker. Like Gouging Fire does not. Roaring Moon does, and it has the dark advantage over Gardevoir. So I'm interested to see how Roaring Moon kind of shakes out. But Roaring Moon is really tough against Dragapult. Like you're hitting yourself for 200 damage. Like that's just not good math into Dragapult. So I'm very interested to see if someone's going to make a deep run and just have that right type of matchup roulette with the Roaring Moon deck.
The Roaring Moon is really bad into Guardy though.
Oh, it's terrible because the Monkey Dory damage too. Yeah,
I was
it's
about to
awful.
say they double Monkey Dory ping and then they attack with with Drifloon. So if Roaring Moon doesn't if Roaring Moon just takes a knockout because they're not playing switch cards, then
Yeah,
what
they're
ends up
playing
happening is
Petulance.
they boss they boss up your big guardy, that's fine, you punch again, and then the following turn you go, okay, double monkey plus kill one of your other two prizers with a Drifloon plus cape or Screamtail plus cape. It's just the matchups as long as Roaring Moon hasn't taken 4 prize cards, Guardy is favored.
Yeah, it's a better late game situation as the Gardevoir player. It just is.
Yeah.
It's a better late game situation, and you have much more of a versatile line to take. Like we mentioned Drifloon, we mentioned Screamtail, we mentioned even Cresselia back in decks now. Like there's just so many options for Gardevoir to have, where Moon just has Moon, Koraidon. And like it's just like even most Turbo Moons aren't playing the Koraidon right now. Um, I mean, it's a decent single prize attacker, but you have to have an ancient in previous turns. Like it's just weird. Um, so I could see it maybe making a run, but like it's gonna be tough either way. Like if you can find a way to knock out Gardevoirs without doing 200 damage to yourself, like I don't think they play that many Poke. It's still 4 Pokestop, but you can't afford to keep discarding them every turn, or your deck just starts to fumble because that is your draw engine is Pokestop. So it'll be interesting. If I had to rank them, it would be Miraidon, Roaring Moon, Gouging Fire. All right. Well, I guess we're discrediting one. It'd be Roaring. It'd be Miraidon, Cloth Terapagos, Roaring Moon, Gouging Fire. That's how
I,
I'd
I
rank.
would put I would put Roaring Moon ahead of Cloth Trap, I guess.
Oh, really? Interesting. So let's just hop into the Cloth Terapagos. What's your thoughts on that? Let's hear
I think that deck is a complete meme. Like if you legit do not get turn 1 or
Trolley.
turn 2 trolley, your deck is if you no longer playing a good deck.
Yeah.
Like if you get a turn 1 or a turn 2 trolley, the deck's really really good.
Yeah. It's yeah. If you get to Arvin for it, awesome.
Yeah, but
If you get Badu locked, good luck.
yeah, that's more of what I mean is like the deck is really good when it gets to do its game plan, but right now we're kind of in a almost a stalemate format to where it's the best way of saying is we're very much in a mid-range format right now where it's like,
Yeah, I like the
can
way you
you
phrase
keep
that.
up with the slow pace?
Yeah.
Like
Can you survive
it's
the early turns?
yes, if you can survive the early turns, and that's what Guardy and Dragapult both do very, very well, is they can survive. And the exception is Miraidon. Like they can't really keep up with Miraidon.
Yeah, if it hits generators, if it pulls off the
Yeah,
turn. If it
yes,
doesn't pull off the turn, they're in the game. They're 100%
yes.
in the game. And best of three, you're going to have that variance. And so I think the big one too is I wonder if we'll see this too, because and we're talking about these two decks a lot. This matchup we're talking about, Dragapult Gardevoir, is so incredibly difficult, in my opinion, because both decks have so many ways of moving and changing damage counters around, especially with Dragapult now playing Manaphy again. That means your opponent either has to Cresselia or they have to boss, and that's almost what you kind of want in that scenario. So then I can go target Curlias earlier. I can go do other things earlier because you're not.
Why do they have to target the Manaphy? Manaphy doesn't do anything.
I feel like it's just so good into the Screamtail line, and like they can't. It's harder
You
for them to
almost
recycle.
you
You think
almost
so?
never attack with Scrimtail in that matchup.
Really? So this is why we have a Gardevoir expert in play here. So like in your Gardevoir mindset, what's your line then? You're just going straight Drifloon's Monkey Dory damage the entire time?
So what? No, you want to attack with Drifloon as little as possible. Drifloon and Screamtail, you want to attack as little as possible because that just lines up for like big multi-price KOs because there's only one damage counter left on to the Drifloon or Screamtail.
Mm-hmm.
Like
And,
if you fully do out,
and this is where
like
the
then
Hero's Cape Gardevoir comes in really big.
yeah. Like that's the thing is like what you want to do, especially. I don't know if it's still like this. I haven't looked at like what most of the Dragapult lists are looking at like right now, but at least pre like these two special events, or regional and special event, Dragapult was not playing any Turos. Is that still the case? They're playing one.
I'm playing one. Most decks are playing
Okay.
one.
Okay. So before like when the format first initiated over like the first round of League Cups that we all went to, all of the Dragapults were on 0 Turos.
Yeah, Turtle's super good.
Or the standard list was 0 Turos.
Yeah.
So with that information, like you just punch a Dragapult like 3 times and you win.
Yeah.
But like
Because even
what
if
you want to do is you just attack with Big Guardy early, and Cresselia when you can. Like I play Cresselia like at least locally, a bunch of our better players are playing Dragapult. So I'm playing Cresselia and Moonlit Hill, and like as long as I see a Big Guardy under their Badulok within the first 3 turns, I just win because like the Monkey Dory damage around, like you want to manipulate the Monkey Dory damage. Um, but like it's very very like so what you want to do is you punch into Dragapult and then you Monkey Dory the damage to a Dracloak. Like you of course you want to have 2 setup, which it's really not as hard to get 2 setup as you think. Like you put 60 onto a Dragapult to where or a Dracloak, which forces them to evolve that Dracloak that turn, or it's knocked out. Like even if they go boss kill one, it's almost impossible for them to kill both in the same turn.
Yeah.
Like kill both monkeys in the same turn. Or in the case if they have Duskulls up, you just double Monkey Dory the damage onto the Duskulls.
Yeah.
And you just keep them off Duskull, so they have to pop the Duskull early whenever they can. If not, then the Duskulls are truly pointless.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So like the matchup's difficult, but I feel like it's just like a needle hair favored towards Gardevoir.
Yeah.
Like 52% Gardevoir.
It's definitely coin flippy. It's for sure.
But it's definitely like 50-50. Like on the generic basis, outside of like taking my own skill into account, like it's very much just 50-50 across the board. Like if you play 100 games of Guardy versus Dragapult and the players are on the same skill level, I feel like both players win about the same amount of games.
Yeah.
Because the matchup is very difficult to play, and Dragapult can just win if they just Badulok too long. Like I played Kenny at one of our cups recently, and it basically came down to he had to flip heads on a Monkey Dory flip because I confused him with Monkey Dory. And he ended up flipping heads and he beat me. But if he flips tails there, I just win because I evolve up into Big Guardian. It's over.
Yeah.
Because I can reestablish board. I can get double Curlia plus Big Guardy up, but instead he bossed up a Curlia and just won.
Yeah.
But the matchup was very difficult. The matchup was actually one of the most fun matchups I've played recently.
It's a lot of fun. I play it a lot here as well. Obviously from the Dragapult side. And I think in the way you use the word mid-range format, it really shows in this matchup because Like you said, Dragapult's two options are, like you said, Badoo lock for a long time until you're fully set up and they can't catch up. And then, or two, if you have the perfect start, and then you could do the 2 damage to each Ralts/Curlia, forcing them to have the big guardies early and not have the draw engine. And that seems to really slow it down. And then if you just don't have Ralts in play at all, or not Ralts, if you don't have any Curlias in play at all as a Gardevoir player, the game becomes a lot harder. So you either one, you make them evolve into 2 Gardevoirs very fast, or two, you're taking a double knockout on 2 Curlias, or the one Curlia in the play and a Monkey Dory. And that's the weirdest part about the matchup for me as a Dragon Ball player. You're never putting more than 3 damage counters on something at one time, which makes it almost impossible to do the double prize stuff unless they do the Drifloon attacks. And so specifically, if we're talking just the Dragapult Gardevoir matchup, this is why I prefer the Charizard version over Dusknoir's, because then I'm able to survive if it becomes a Gardevoir war, because then you can't do the Turo plays. But not everyone's going to like the Charizard. Not everyone's going to like the extra clunkiness in there, even though I think it's fine. But I still have to Evo. It's not easy for me to Badoo lock stuff. So it's one less option for me as a player. But it does give you not necessarily an auto win into Gardevoir, but if you have to face 2 Charizards as a Gardevoir player, it's not a great time. It's just not. But Dragapult Dusknoir specifically, yeah, it's very challenging because if you do anything other than 2/2/2, then your Duskulls are instantly gone. And even if you do the 2/2/2 and they have Monkey in play and they get a big Gardevoir in play, your Duskulls are still gone. It forces you to have 2 Duskulls in play at all times, which is terrible for the deck spacing. Like, it really comes down to each decision, and both decks have ways around each other, but things have to go a specific way with a specific line each game. So that's the last thing I want to see, to be honest. Like, it's a fun game to play, but in a regional type environment where you're playing 9 of these rounds, like, there's a potential chance you go 5-3 and you played only Dragapults and Gardevoirs. Like, that's just like this is a real possibility for somebody at EUIC. And so, with that being said, those are the two biggest decks. I think Lugia is going to be sprinkled in there, but it's tough right now because Gardevoir's not fun. It's just like a single prizer deck. Like Dragapult's not fun unless you're playing the Gigas, and like and Maridon is just terrible. So like I think Lugia is going to be like 5%. Like, what's your metagame prediction overall as we're wrapping up this episode?
Like percentage wise.
Yeah, let's hear it. I need 100%. If you give me 99, we're scrapping it.
I think you're gonna have Guardy and Dragapult around like 15
I
to
was gonna
18.
I was gonna say 15 to 18 as well, making that 36.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a little lower, but I think that's about where they're gonna sit.
My
I
hope
would
is
give.
my hope is that it's 15% normal Dragapult and then 5% with partners, whether that be Iron Thorns or
I mean, I could also see
Charizard.
that.
Because we're not going to combo it together. We're not going to get too specific here because, like, I do think Iron Thorns
I think there will
Dragapult is
be
good in
like
this format.
18% of decks that will have a Dragapult in it.
Yep, I'm cool with that. We'll take it.
And then I think we're gonna have like maybe like I think it's gonna be like 8% Lugia.
Yeah,
Just because it's going to be the final ride.
it really is. That's
No,
so
nope,
crazy.
nope. We have Vancouver. We still have Vancouver.
Yeah. Do we really?
So maybe like 7. Yeah, no. We have like I'll give it like 6%. 6% Lugia.
Oh my god, we do have Vancouver still. That's ridiculous.
6%
Get us out of this
Lugia,
format. Let's rotate.
6%, and then gonna be about the same for Charizard and Maridon. I think all three of them are gonna be between like that 5 to 8 to 6, somewhere around in there
Yeah.
percent. think all three of those are going to be around there because people are going to take Charizard because they want to do the matchup roulette because they just auto beat.
And that's what they've been playing. If that's what you've been playing, like, you keep playing it. If that's what you practice with, like, you keep grinding it. But like I think Charizard's gonna be below 5. I'll be honest with you. I know it's gonna be popular because people love Charizard, but like in this
it's
meta,
gonna be close
because
it's
like
gonna be like at. I think it's gonna be at 5
because like Lugia now is such a terrible matchup. Unless you're playing Heroes Cape Charizard, that
which is the way everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of people.
No, I know, but like as a newer player, if you're like, oh, I picked up the Charizard League Battle deck and I made it the most popular version or whatever. Like if you're not playing Heroes Cape, you're gonna have a tough time with Lugia.
Yeah.
What deck are we missing?
Around that same percent is gonna be Turtle. I think Turtle's
Turtle 5%. Yeah, I'm cool with that as well.
It's not gonna be crazy, but it's not gonna be bad. And then like we're gonna have some. I think Control's gonna be on the uptick here, just because it's Control and EU, or like Europe has an affinity for Control.
Yeah.
More than like the States.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if Xander's going or not, but I think Pidgeot Control will be the most popular version of it. Obviously,
oh yeah, that's like when I refer to Control, like
I know. I'm just separating the two for listeners. I get what you're saying. Snorlax will be a lot lower. Snorlax stall will be like 2%. And what stinks about Snorlax right now is just like they don't have great matchups into Gardevoir and Dragapult. So like the reasons you play that is because Charizard and Lugia and some of these Lugia's a terrible matchup too, to be honest.
Lugia's like an auto loss unless you play like 4 Sinnohs.
Yeah.
That's actually what like the kid I mentor, he's playing
4 Temple stall.
I don't know how many. I think he's playing 3 Temple. He's respecting Lugia.
You have to. You have to. I think the last deck that I think of, I think it's in the same boat though. Like Archaladon, Ceruledge, and the other big basics. I think it's all below 5%. The main one that I'm gonna mention here that I think is gonna be kind of a surprise. It's still kind of memey. I think Goldengo it just self is gonna be about 8%.
Goldengo just auto loses to Badoo.
That's the problem, and they're gonna play the roulette though. I think if you can get around the Badoo turn and call it a day, it's not great. I do think Goldengo is good into everything else though. Your Gardevoir matchup is really tough. I don't love it into
almost an auto loss to 30% of the room.
Correct. Yeah, I don't like it into Lugia. I just think Goldengo, it always seems to make this magical run in Europe. Owen Cameraman won with it last year, right? Like I feel like it's just something's in it, and that it really is it can hit all these big numbers that Gardevoir and Dragapult and Charizard have. It's just, can they get through the early turns? It's not the greatest mid-game deck, but it is a good deck at hitting huge numbers, and so I do think it's got a chance. That's my sleeper pick for this event is Goldengo.
My sleeper pick would probably be Ceruledge.
Yeah. Whoa. Giving the Luge some love. Hold on here.
The only reason I say that is because I think Ceruledge can very much use Badoo. It's like one of the only like super tempo decks that can use Badoo effectively.
It can be fast and slow. Yeah, it could do both.
Yeah.
Yep, I get what you're saying.
That's the only reason. I don't think the deck's like overly like crazy good or anything.
No, it's good at hitting numbers.
If I saw one in top 16, I'd be like, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
If it had a Badoo in it. If it did not have a Badoo in it, I'd be very surprised.
I'd be very shocked, yeah. Because like if you Badoo lock for enough turns to where you get to that 270, 280 number, then you're good. You're golden. Like you said, I think Gardevoir's one weakness is being Badooed too long. Like it is. Yeah, I love that shout. That's fantastic out of you. I didn't think you had that in you, to be honest. I had doubts. I didn't think you were going to say it. With that, I want you to name the country of the winner. I think that's fun. I stole someone. I think I stole it from Uncommon Energy. Where do you think the winner is NA or EU based? Or do you want to do it a different way? Let's do it this way.
I think
It's NA versus rest of world.
I think a Japanese player is going to win this.
Whoa! I mean, they won. They won the first regional, right?
They won the
Ryuki did the first one.
Yeah, Ryuki. I think that Kaito and a bunch of these other players that go to a bunch of like Western tournaments, I think one of them is going to win.
I think that'd be cool.
That would be like, I'm always on the Japanese players' sides when it comes to this because, like, funny enough, how much we complain about how hard our tournament or how hard it is for us to qualify for Worlds. They have an easier time winning one of our tournaments than qualifying for Worlds.
It's the fact that it's so hard to even get into a Champions League, let alone competing in one, and then you have to play best of one for 15 rounds. It's just God.
And if you take 2 losses over, was it 17 rounds?
I think it's 3 losses. Then you're automatically dropped.
2.
Yeah, they get 2. Once you get the third, you're automatically dropped. Yeah. Once you get the third, you're auto dropped. So yeah, you get 2 because Toward 1 is winning in on 2 losses.
Yeah.
And then
Roll took his 3rd loss, or you don't get auto dropped. Not in day 2. You get auto dropped in day 1.
Correct. Yeah, day 2 you do not get auto dropped because prizing goes down quite a bit. I think I'm not sure on that one.
Yeah, because Roll got top.
I think he got like 20.
No, 20th because the top 16 is the cut.
I was gonna say
top 16 is the cut.
Oh, you're right. I don't know why I said that. I know it wasn't top 16. I guess this is the last thing. Do you hope to see one of these Japan lists in this tournament? Or do you not really
It would
care?
be really cool to see like a counter box, like the Toward box style list.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be really cool to see like one of those perform well. I don't think it will. Just realistically.
I was thinking the same thing because the counter gain and that kind of stuff still exists. Like obviously, Dragapult's gonna be super tough.
Maybe like a Raikou to splash in there for the Lugia. Like
there's something in there.
That
deck is so cool. It's just the Crispin energy.
There's definitely something there like for standard, but like, is it good enough?
And did they find it fast enough? I don't question if it's good enough. I question if someone's able to find it fast enough. Because like if they crack the code, they crack the code. But I just don't think, depending on how much time was invested prior, that's going to be the question.
I think it's who is it?
Yeah.
Because if like Fabian or any of that group that played it at Champions League, then took it over here,
they could win the whole thing.
If they changed it enough, yes.
Yeah, they could. I believe it. Those guys they're so good at what they do. They showed it in Japan. Like they just, if they've been playing this deck now for essentially, I would think 2 weeks or at least a week, right? Since
they've been playing probably longer than that, but yeah.
Well, we don't know how much they tested before they got to Japan, but it's at least the week prior to Japan and this week now. Like that's a lot of time for a player of that caliber to be able to adjust the deck slightly to not having Clefairy. And if they have enough time, they can find an answer. I don't know what that. And maybe that answer is just Devo.
That answer might also just be they play Gardevoir.
Well, they also could be.
Sadly,
coming from the Gardevoir player,
all of those players are Gardevoir players. That's the only reason I said that.
They've played every deck in this format.
Well, I meant like Fabian and all of them. Every time Guardy evolves, they always play it. Same with Tord. So it also wouldn't surprise me if they all just said, "Oh, Guardy's really good. I don't want to think Guardy."
Fabian hasn't. Obviously, he might have played at a tournament at some point. He played Charizard Noctowl at Birmingham a month ago.
Well, I meant like when
could be a shout though.
When
could be a shout.
He's been on stream a lot with Guardy. I don't think he's ever done well with Guardy, but he's played Guardy a lot.
I kind of hope for the Charizard Noctowl now, low key. I think that'll wrap it up there. Charizard Noctowl is going to win the whole thing. That's for sure. Any closing thoughts, Brock? One last time.
Nope.
All right. Love you all. Safe travels to EU. Safe travels back home. Hope it's going to be a great, fantastic tournament. I can't wait to watch it. And then next week or the week after, whenever the next pod, we'll talk about some of the card reveals from Champions League. We'll hopefully we'll talk about EIC itself, and then we're gonna start really diving into the new format because Journey Together comes out in less than a month. I think it's like March 16th or something like that, and then rotation's here. We finally made it. The 6-month period is over. Your long-awaited day has arrived. Thank you guys so much for being here, and we'll see you in the next one.
See ya.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it.